Greetings, Earthlings and fellow human beings here as we study humanity and living environment and human impact on the environment. And today we're going to delve into a few things, both good and bad. It shouldn't be all negative about humanity's impact on the environment, although there are a lot of negative things. But we're going to look at that today. And of course, it's Hockey Jersey Thursday. That's why I'm wearing my hockey jersey today. And then we've started working today on the Biodiversity State Lab. Some of you started yesterday, some of you are starting it today. And let's do this.
All right. Hey now. Mr. Kovacs Class. It's Mr. Kovacs Class. You might learn a ton. It's Mr. Kovacs Class.
It's interesting too.
It's Mr. Kovacs Class. And he's super cool. It's Mr. Kovacs Class.
And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, there it is, our Earth. My apologies for singing. But yeah, Earth, we got one. And that's where our kind of thing lives. And right, our kind of thing is a pretty interesting species in that we have a pretty wide geographic range. Pretty much every environment on the planet has representatives of our species living there. Heck, we even have people living in Antarctica, believe it or not. Of course, in a lot of places, we have to bring our climate with us. So you'll find where most people live are places where you don't have to do that, where the climate is favorable for our kind of thing, human beings, right? Yeah, great stewards of the earth, humanity. And so we're going to look at some of the impacts that humans have had on the environment, some of which you can tell right away, and then we'll talk about ways to mitigate those as we go, right? Let's start with, where are the people? People live everywhere on the planet, pretty much, but you can see where they're most densely packed. Those are the easiest places to live. So if you think of what kinds of ecosystems there are, there's temperate forests, temperate grasslands, savannas. Here we have more tropical forests, more grasslands, again, tropical forests, temperate forests, temperate grasslands, tropical forests, temperate forests, and grasslands. So that's like where we like to live. Forests and grasslands. We're like built for that. That's where we are. And of course, those provide great resources for us. Forests, of course, produce trees, and trees are a tremendous resource for humanity for a number of things. For a good part of our history, it was like where we generated both like heat and shelter for our kind was through use of forest products. And then, of course, the grasslands are big for humanity because they're great places to grow crops, right? Especially the humanity has kind of shifted into just a few main crops that we survive on for most of humanity. And they grow best in the breadbasket parts of the world, the big temperate grasslands of America, the Americas, North and South, and Eurasia. All right. So what are some things we worry about? Well, because of our need for forest products, we worry about deforestation. Deforestation is when you cut down forests to take those products or to make more room for other things like industrialization and communities of people to live. And so it's a great balancing act if the great forests of the world, we try to maintain the forest, but also let people live there. Okay, so forest products are, right? And if you look at the world, there are not forests everywhere. Okay, forests only occupy about a quarter of the land, well, maybe 30% of the land of the planet. The rest is either grassland or desert or savanna or steppes or something like that, right? Okay, or tundra. Right? So there's forest, and we look to preserve the forests. It just seems to be that people live where there are forests. So it's a tough balancing act, right? You often hear of people preserving the Amazon rainforest. Well, why does the Amazon rainforest need to be preserved any more than any other forest? It doesn't, but it's just a great example of when people and agriculture and resources, right? Why would you cut down swaths of Amazon rainforest? To make pasture lands, to grow food, right? Or to grow other crops, or to raise cattle, So it's a give and a take. Another thing that we don't think too much about, but humans have had a huge impact on aquatic ecosystems, especially marine ecosystems due to fishing. And you can see that human fisheries, there's some hot spots on the planet. And these hot spots, this is 2005, so this is already out of date, but these hot spots indicate where the most fish are taken from, right? And those places we've seen declines in aquatic biodiversity because of overfishing, right? You'll notice, look at the Pacific Ocean. It's being inundated with fisheries. The Indian Ocean, the southern Pacific Ocean here. The Atlantic actually looks pretty good with the exception of the very North Atlantic, which is well overfished. And then of course we talk about solid waste. Humans generate a lot of solid waste, or garbage for lack of a better word. And where's that garbage generated? Well, it's generated everywhere where there are people that live, right? And then this is a map that shows 2022, the best managed, right? So if you look at places, the best managed, of course, waste is in our neck of the woods, parts of Americas, especially Europe, Northern Europe, Australia, right? Saudi Arabia, even, Colombia. Those places really do a good job. They're high scoring on a Yale Environmental Performance Index, right? There's some places that need to catch up with waste management, like central parts of Africa and a good chunk of Asia. And then air pollution. Air pollution puts sulfur dioxide and other things into the air. What's interesting here in the United States is we tackled that problem. If you go back to the 1980s, we had terrible air quality and high incidences of acid rain, especially in the northeastern portion of the United States. This was called the Rust Belt. This is where lots of industry was and those emissions pouring into the air. In 1990, we amended the Clean Air Act and we saw really rapid change. That by 2015, the air is as clean as it has been pretty much at any time. So we can do things as people to make the planet better. We just have to buy into the idea that we can do it. It leads us to the biggest threat, and that would be climate change due to global warming of temperatures. And that's the biggest threat because it affects so many areas. It will affect forests, it'll affect oceans, it'll affect all the things that we have dependent upon. And without a doubt, we know that temperatures are escalating, right? Average global temperatures are higher now than they were if you go back 100 years. In fact, the last 30 years, they've been accelerating greater than they were for the entire 100 years or so before. So, yeah, we know that it's happening. The idea is, how can we mitigate that? What can we do to mitigate climate change and prepare our future generations to live in a world where it's just going to be very different ecologically because of the change in climate, right? Yeah, worldwide temperatures will be greater. That's going to change. It's going to shift things like where you can grow certain crops. It's going to shift where certain animals can live. It will shift places where humans can live. It potentially will raise sea levels so that also coastal areas will become inundated with water and be more difficult to live in. Right? There's lots of challenges that are coming about due to this change in climate. And when is the time to tackle this issue? The time is probably now.